You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Jamaia Chase. Each week in this time slot, we take a look at different issues, personalities, and events that affect you and our community. Women's History Month highlights the contributions of women in history and contemporary society. This year, we had the first ever female coach in the Super Bowl, and women are continuing to break glass ceilings. Here with me first is Alexandra Castle, Master Distiller of Old Dominick Distillery, and Tennessee's first head female distiller since Prohibition. Alex, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Alex, you are a trailblazer. How do you feel about your place in Tennessee history?
I actually don't even typically try to think about the fact that I've done anything that even means that I should be in the history of anything. But I'm happy that we're finally breaking down those barriers, and if I get to help do that, then that's exciting.
Well, how did you get into whiskey making? Because it is such a specific industry.
So I was actually 15, so I was in high school when I decided to study chemical engineering, and did that because I wanted to be able to make bourbon. And so that's where it all started, and I just kind of stayed on that path.
Well, you were working at a very well-known Kentucky distillery when you heard about Old Dominick, which was barely up and running. What made you take the job here in Memphis?
It was exciting. It was an opportunity that I didn't see coming up in Kentucky, just because it's so established up there that to have a new up-and-coming distillery that you can help start from the ground up just wasn't going to happen. And so it just kind of fell at the right time, and I was ready for a change and decided to move to Memphis.
Well, Alex, in 2015, you were named the head distiller. What does that title mean?
So a head distiller, just from a technical term, is just you're in charge of product development, you're in charge of the day-to-day production, and then it does have kind of an extension of a little bit of hands-on in sales, a little bit in marketing, get to kind of be the face of the company.
Your role has expanded dramatically since then. What all are you responsible for at Old Dominick?
So I continue to be in charge of production as master distiller, but then at the beginning of the year I was promoted to senior vice president as well. And so I'm actually in charge of sales and marketing. I'm in charge of our hospitality group, so the team that does tours and tastings. I get to be involved in all of it now.
Old Dominick has a long history in Memphis. Can you give us the brief history behind this great place?
Absolutely. So Old Dominick is a pre-Prohibition brand. So it actually was founded in 1866 by the company's founder, Dominico. And it was whiskey, it was quite a few whiskeys, as well as the Dominick Toddy. And then unfortunately Prohibition happened, and so the whiskey died. But the family continued to operate in Memphis and decided in 2013, 2014 to revitalize the Old Dominick brand, and that's ultimately what you see today.
Alex, how is this distillery beneficial to the downtown Memphis community?
I'd like to think it's beneficial, one, simply because we revitalized essentially an entire block of downtown, and we're starting to see other buildings get bought and revitalized. So hopefully we're helping kind of start the revitalization of Front Street. And it gives people, whether you're actually a Memphian or you're just in town for the weekend, it gives you another place to go that's more than just Beale Street.
Well, how has it been beneficial to you?
For me, Old Dominick as a whole has been beneficial in so many ways. It's allowed me to achieve my dream and continue to pursue it and expand it. And I feel like I'm part of the family. I feel like I'm part of the city now, and that's just a great thing to wake up to every day.
What are your plans for the future of the Old Dominick Distillery?
So we hope to expand production at Dominick. We'd like to get to where we run around the clock. Hopefully we become a national brand, possibly even international, we'll see. But we just want to be something that Memphis can be proud of.
What advice would you give young women who are following in your footsteps right now?
First, find what you're passionate about. If you can determine what you're passionate about, it will set you on the path to really enjoy your job. If you love what you do and do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So find the passion and then just keep going. Ignore anyone that says you can't do it, because you can.
Well, Alex, can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced along the way and how you overcame them?
So I've been fortunate enough through my career to have bosses who were very supportive, whether they were men or women, but definitely ran into men in the industry who didn't think I was as capable of doing this job. And I learned very early on to ignore them and just focus on the people that are supportive. And in the end, that's all that matters.
Alex, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll talk to an award-winning news broadcaster.
Once upon a time, in a place where magic happens right before your eyes, there lived an ogre named Shrek, who set out on the greatest journey of his life. Stories seen at the Poplar Pike Playhouse have unexpected twists and turns, where you make friends along the way. And you might find love where you least expect it. Witness the big, bright, beautiful world of Shrek the Musical at the Poplar Pike Playhouse, February 20th until March 7th. Get your tickets online now at ppp.org or by calling 755-7775.
We have 4 major vocal ensembles at Germantown High School. There's a large chorale with about 50 to 60 students, a women's chorus, our chamber choir, which is an elite ensemble of 18 singers, and a contemporary a cappella group, which is about 16 singers.
It's really nice to be in a room full of people who share your passion and who want to learn and make every song as beautiful as it possibly can be.
I really try to instill in my students the importance of connecting with the literature, that they have to go outside of the box and actually understand what they're singing about.
Thank you.
This program has really pushed me. It's shown me a lot of my insecurities and how to grow past those.
Many times we'll gather around the piano to build that sense of camaraderie, to be able to hear each other better, to interact with each other and make music together. Work together, hold that solid. Go.
Then we genuinely love music. We sing because we want to and not because our Mr. Hayner is telling us.
2 beats, you come in. 1 and 2. Music empowers us to come together as a group. I feel like this generation has become so focused on me, 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 me. And music is us, 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 us.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. In what was once a male-dominated field, female reporters and anchors are now leading the way in broadcast news. Our next guest, Kontji Anthony, has more than 20 years of journalism experience and is the evening anchor at WMC Action News 5. Ms. Anthony, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of interesting to be on the other end of things.
Well, being a journalist and working in the news is not for the faint at heart. So what drew you into this industry?
Well, I wanted to be a writer, and I ended up working at a news station, and then my coworkers convinced me to put a reel together, and then one of them brought my reel to a news station, and then they called and hired me. It was not what I expected.
Well, it takes hard work and dedication to be in the TV market and work behind an anchor desk. Can you tell us about your journey so far?
Sure. Well, I started in New York City, behind the scenes, and you would just see my hand, and a microphone on the news. And then I was a one-man band, as they call it, where I shot all my own video, and you call it multimedia journalists now, I guess. So I would shoot my own video. I went to Iowa. I've been in every time zone, North Carolina, California. And I was supposed to be here for just a couple of years, and I ended up staying for almost 15. So
I'm Kontji Anthony. Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers starts our team coverage in the First Alert Weather Center. Ron.
All right, Kontji.
Well, how did those places impact you, and has it changed the way you've reported news?
Well, I think what it did was it showed me how different people in different parts of the country live. And there are similarities, there are differences, but what it did was it just expanded my mind as to, coverage of different people and, who different people are.
Well, Ms. Anthony, starting out as a female reporter, what were some of the challenges you had to face?
Well, it's strange that I am in a visual medium, but the whole visual part of it was, I hate shopping. Makeup is a thing. I'm just all of that visual stuff took a lot of learning, and so that just wasn't natural to me.
Well, the face of broadcast news has really changed over the past few years, from just male to more female. How does it feel to be a part of that?
Oh, it's just wonderful. I mean, it just makes you feel like you're part of a very special group of people, and I honor every single day that I'm able to do this.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the segment, you do anchor for WMC Action News 5 in the evening. Can you tell us about how that go and how you and your team prepare for shows?
Well, sure. We basically, you wake up, the moment you wake up, I'm on my phone reading every single media outlet that I have in there, from the Washington Post to the Daily Memphian. And then after that, I go in, we get calls, emails, inbox messages on social media. So we all have stories that are proposed to us. We bring those stories to the newsroom, we meet, and they decide which reporters are going to get assigned to what. And then everybody goes out, collects the news. And myself as an anchor, I just have to really stay abreast of all of the issues that are going on a national level, on a local level, and just to be prepared, because if breaking news happens, I need to understand what's going on around us.
Well, Ms. Anthony, your work has also been seen on the Today Show, CNN, and E! Network. So how has that impacted your career so far as well?
Well, it's just a different medium. So basically, they were local stories that gained national attention. So they would contact any news station that they want to do a national story with. They contact you, and when it's really just a different type of, like, we're in this setting here on the set. Well, that was just kind of like a talkback. So I did talkbacks, and so it was just a different aspect of journalism, just a different way to deliver the news.
Well, as a journalist, you are trained to leave your emotions and opinions at the door. Have you broken that barrier with any story you've told before?
Well, I think you have to leave your opinions at the door, but I think you always have your emotions there at some level, because in some cases there are people who are going through really difficult times, and so it's impossible to not feel for people who are, it might be the hardest day of their life, and there you are. Yeah.
Well, Ms. Anthony, you are also a leader in the community. Can you tell us why it is so important to get involved with the community?
I think that our purpose is to be here for others. It's a community, so that means that we're all here to help one another. And so the purpose is to get information to people so that they can make educated decisions. And so I feel that the core reason for news is to help people, so it is community.
Well, what words of encouragement would you give a young aspiring female journalist?
Oh wow, yeah, don't give up. There are days when it's very hard to see, people going through different things, but in the end, there are days when you could literally, in one moment, just change somebody's life for the better. And so just always keep your heart on helping others. Yeah.
Ms. Anthony, how do you see broadcast news evolving over the next decade?
Well, you know what? I mean, the TV screen is not necessarily the main use or anymore. I mean, it's not the main place where people always watch. So I just see it more mobile. I see just kind of more a la carte, where you can pick and choose as opposed to just sitting down and watching TV in your living room. So I just imagine it's going to just evolve with regards to technology.
Well, Ms. Anthony, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and what a great job you did.
Don't go away. When we come back, we'll talk to one woman who is a leader in the financial industry.
Once upon a time, in a place where magic happens right before your eyes, there lived an ogre named Shrek, who set out on the greatest journey of his life. Stories seen at the Poplar Pike Playhouse have unexpected twists and turns, where you make friends along the way. And you might find love where you least expect it. Witness the big, bright, beautiful world of Shrek the Musical at the Poplar Pike Playhouse, February 20th until March 7th. Get your tickets online now at ppp.org or by calling 755-7775.
It's very fun to be in band, trust me. It's so much fun.
When I was an 8th grader and I saw them march, and I was like, wow, I need to be a part of this.
Our main performing group is the varsity band. That encompasses our marching band and our varsity concert band. We also have the jazz ensemble.
It's unique, so we're really lucky to have that.
I'm very methodical about teaching. I try to stay up to date because I want my students to have the best information that I can pass along to them.
He's excellent. He commands a sort of drive that we didn't exactly have.
I lead the class, but I also believe in the students self-assessing their work.
The leadership is led by the students. We lead most of the practices. It's basically just student-led.
And I think that's important for them to take that kind of ownership.
If you want to be a musician, you gain extremely important music skills, music techniques.
1, 2, 3.
There's so many opportunities for fellowship, and band is a family. And you develop that small community where you support each other, not only musically, but in many ways.
Really, without the band, the football games would be lame. Without the band, you wouldn't really have the pep rallies. The band is like a good foundation for the school spirit. If you want to join band, just do it.
I think band was the best part of my high school career.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit GHS-Kappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Jamaia Chase. Our final guest is a woman who has broken barriers in the financial industry. Kelly Bolton is the Senior Vice President of Bolton & Associates Wealth Management. Ms. Bolton, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, Ms. Bolton, financial advisor is such a fancy title. What all do you do?
Well, it's not that fancy. It may sound fancy. You know, really, I help individuals and businesses reach their dreams, you know, figure out what it is they want to do, and then I figure out how they financially can make that happen. And it's a little bit of a process, you know. We figure out where you are today, where do you want to go, and we develop a financial plan to get you there. So it's really about helping people accomplish their life goals.
Well, Ms. Bolton, when you started out, there weren't many female financial advisors. Did that pose any challenges?
You know, actually, it made it a little fun. You know, I was one of very few females in what we called the boardroom, and I guess my uniqueness actually made it less challenging. And maybe my youth and my desire to accomplish something had me ignoring maybe some of the challenges that were there, but I really found it to be actually a plus, if that makes sense.
Were there any stereotypes of any kind that you had to contend with?
Oh yeah, now there were stereotypes. Meeting after meeting early on in my career when I was young, and even some that happened later in my career, if I had a male counterpart there, it was always assumed that I worked for him. And many times he might have worked for me. But there was just that assumption, and I actually found it a little funny at times. And even women sometimes would be the one to assume that I worked for the man. And there's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. But that was probably the biggest stereotype.
How did you build your client list over the years?
You know, that's a good question. Over the years, I've always just treated clients the way I would want to be treated. I mean, I think they've trusted me with their money. They've trusted me with their goals and dreams and educating their children and being able to retire one day. And I've always thought of it in the group that I work with. I have a fabulous team of people that works with me, that, you know, our goal is to treat their money as if it was our own. And we respect our clients, we love our clients, and it's so much fun to be on that journey with them. And it's through word of mouth. You know, initially I made calls to people, I reached out, maybe advertised and things like that. But now my clients that are happy, they refer other people to me. People might see a broadcast or see an article in the newspaper and that sort of thing and reach out.
Well, Ms. Bolton, your goal is to educate people in the community on the importance behind wealth management.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you doing that?
Well, one client at a time, and other ways too. But, you know, as each client comes in, you find out their knowledge, their comfort level with investing, and then I work with them to help them understand what investing is all about and put it in terms that they can understand. Because people have all different understandings and levels of knowledge when it comes to finances. I also do work in the community. I volunteer if anybody ever wants me to come and speak about financial education, you know, financial well-being. I'm happy to do it. I don't charge for it. And so I've done everything from groups at senior homes to garden clubs to CPAs or attorney groups.
Well, you've been recognized multiple times for your outstanding work. Can you tell us your key to success?
Well, thank you. That's very nice. You know, I don't think there was any one thing I did. I just absolutely love what I do. And it's interesting because I know the ladies that have talked to you before me have all said the same thing. I just go to work every day and love it. And I think when you have that kind of passion for what you do, it's nice that it's been recognized. It's nice that others have said, hey, you know, good job. You did a good job for doing what you love. And that's kind of really a very rewarding feeling.
Well, Ms. Bolton, as you mentioned, you do a lot of work in the community, including hosting one of the shows here on GHS-TV, Let's Talk Business. Can you tell us about some of the topics you discussed during the show?
Yes, and it really is fun to host the show, and it's weird sitting on this other side, being the one to answer the questions. Welcome to Let's Talk Business. My name is Kelly Bolton, and thank you for tuning in as we have the distinct pleasure of hosting our community's foremost leaders, entrepreneurs, and civic heroes. We're talking to people about what they're doing to make this community better, what impact that they in their business or their line of work can do. We've had nonprofits, we've had businesses, we've had mature businesses, we've had businesses in the infancy stage. And it's so much fun to hear what these leaders in our community are doing. They're giving back by providing jobs to the community, they're giving back financially, and we like to hear how they started their business. What were they passionate about? You know, what were the obstacles that they faced, so that our viewers can kind of get a flavor for what's happening, and if they're interested in starting a business, what they could do.
You are a big supporter of March of Dimes. Can you tell us how you got involved with this organization?
Yes, March of Dimes, and also I'm very, very, very have a lot of love and compassion for Regional 1, which was the med at the time. My daughter was born very prematurely. She's 19 years old now, but she was 1 pound 10 ounces. Her head was so small it really fit in the palm of my hand, and they didn't expect her to live. Her prognosis was very bleak, and if it was not for the work that March of Dimes did leading up to her birth, she would not be here today. There was life-saving treatments that they had sponsored and supported, and then Regional 1 Medical Center, which was the med at the time, is where she was born. And, you know, I give all the glory to God, Regional 1, March of Dimes, and the doctors and nurses that made it happen, because she survived against all odds and is a beautiful, smart, intelligent young lady today. So you give where your heart is.
Well, Ms. Bolton, from your great work, you have been recognized by Working Mother magazine and Forbes magazine. What all does those honors mean to you?
Well, it was really nice to be honored, and it was quite a surprise. You know, obviously they're nationally recognized, so it meant the world to me. And it really was just affirmation that I'm doing what's right. To get those awards, you had to be vetted, and they screened you and checked all of your records and looked to the companies that you work for. And I work for a very large financial institution, and I have Bolton and Associates Wealth Management as part of that large institution. So it was just really nice that others said, hey, good job.
Well, Ms. Bolton, what words of encouragement would you give someone who are trying to get to where you are right now?
That's a good question. You know, I know that everyone says this, but it's true. Find something you love and that you're passionate about, and surround yourself with people that make you happy and make you a better person by being around them. Because negativity and complaining and bitterness it just kind of ruins your vibe, if you know what I mean. And I think if you love what you do and you're surrounded by people that have the same dreams, goals, aspirations, and support you and build you up, I just don't think there's any stopping. And set your sights high. There's a saying that says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So keep shooting that ball. I mean, keep shooting. You're going to fail so many times, but you will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So that would really be my advice.
Well, Ms. Bolton, this was such a great discussion. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really been fun.
I would like to thank all my guests for being on the show today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with these 3 outstanding women. For more information on our programming, please check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we are streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Jamaia Chase. From all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.